So BYU went ahead and named its quarterback.
Good for them.
Yesterday. Does that help? How does that help?
Oh, that surprised me. I mean, they got two great players, and I thought Taysom Hill was one of the best in the country when he was healthy. So he's been there a few years. I mean, they're both really good players. So it doesn't change their preparation because we still don't know what they're going to do.
In a perfect world, how many safeties do you like to rotate through a game?
Well, we're starting 3, and so you'd like to have 6. That's a lot. We haven't gotten to that point, but we've got more bodies now than we've had, and when the next recruiting class comes in, we'll have even more. So there are certain defenses where you might be playing 4 or 5 at a time. I don't know if we're right there yet, but we'll play at least 5 of them, I'm sure.
All right, but are you comfortable through 5, 6? Do you sound like you're not quite comfortable?
Well, I say I'm comfortable from an ability standpoint. From an experience standpoint, I'm not, but I'm not comfortable with several areas in an experience standpoint.
Gotcha, because you're going to have a couple of freshmen playing there.
Some young guys. Yeah, there'll be some young guys in that 2 deep. Freshmen or richer freshmen.
You talked a lot about developing depth. What position on the team do you feel the best about from a depth standpoint?
Depth standpoint, probably running back. I think running back would probably be our deepest position from a depth standpoint. Tight end. I think we're pretty deep at tight end when everybody's healthy. We got 2 quarterbacks that I think are both good enough to win with.
And what about the flip side of that, the positions where you're kind of concerned the most about the depth?
Well, both up front, both ways, O-line, D-line, probably at linebacker. I think we're okay at receiver, but both lines we're not nearly as deep as we need to be.
For the guys that enrolled early, did you notice that making a difference coming into the fall?
Well, it did. Probably not as much as you'd hope, because you forget the 15 practices in spring were beneficial, but probably not enough to put some of them over the top. Most of those guys will be redshirted. But when you're redshirting a lot of young guys, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that means you got some pretty good players in front of them. But I think this year we'll play a few freshmen, and next year we'll probably play even more. Just judging on the way the recruiting class is going.
DeAndre Miller had a pretty productive spring. Has he built on that here?
He has. He's one of the leaders on defense. He's an athletic guy, can drop, he can pass rush. He's had a really good camp.
Is he the best, quote unquote, pure pass rusher on the team?
I don't know. That's a fair question. I think he's certainly one of the best. Out of the linebacker crew, he's probably the best.
But are you having more of a hands-on approach with the defense than you have in the past?
I've always been pretty hands-on. What I'm more hands-on probably now is just in the overall philosophy and I guess scheme-wise, but I'm not teaching it, coaching it per se, because I got 4 really good coaches plus 2 really good GAs that are able to teach it and coach it. So I'm just kind of overview, but probably not more so in the past. Just from an initial standpoint, I was.
How have you seen the guys react to them and their teaching?
The coaches?
No, the players.
The players.
Coaches.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I don't think they see me any more over there than they have in the past. I think just from I explained some of the things in the spring and the beginning of camp from a philosophy standpoint, but our defensive staff has done a really good job, and it's going to be a work in progress because it's all new. It's like everybody's a freshman in the system, but Coach Yates and those guys are doing a really good job of teaching what new we're doing, because there's some carryover from last year, of course, but they're doing a good job of teaching it, and I'm sure we'll have to adjust in games as well.
With a team with so much mystery, kind of with BYU changing things up, do you coach to personnel? Do you coach to what you think they're going to do?
Well, even personnel's a mystery more than anything on your first game. You just got to project maybe what they've done in the past, because there's no set thing that we can rely on. But I think there's always some unknown for them too. We got a new defensive staff. We got new stuff we're going to do on offense. So there's always some more unknowns in your first game. So your first game is probably the game that you have to adjust the quickest on than anything you play all year.
It's now illegal to hit a sliding quarterback. Is that something that should benefit Anu? Do you want him to slide?
Yeah, it's illegal, I guess, if you're kind of targeting. I still would prefer the quarterbacks to slide forward rather than feet first. I think feet first, you're still a little bit vulnerable. And we haven't really probably worked on it too much. We'll probably talk about that a little bit as we go into the games. But Anu's a smart guy, and he understands we don't want him taking hits up high. And there are times where they need to slide. I'd rather them slide head first rather than feet first.